Hello and welcome to this week's Inner Circle update. Been plenty going on this week. We're going to start off with currencies and the dollar index. I've talked repeatedly about the final resistance at 97.19.5, and we finally got there on some numbers earlier on today, and we've reversed slightly. I have had some negatives beforehand. We're not actually getting one today though, so it's going to have to make a daily close above that level to signal a fresh breakout and another leg higher, which would send us all the way up to 198. It also coincided quite nicely with the euro hitting also a long-standing level and a hidden one that's been lurking on futures at 112.72. So again, we had some repeated buy signals, bullwhips, pops, etc. Popped down there earlier on, just ahead of some numbers, and then reversed. We've already got long. We had a limit order in down there. Already taken profits on half of it. So effectively now we've got a free trade because we now know what the low is. Before we were just saying that it would have to be a daily close below that point. So euro and dollar index both hitting levels. If I go to the spot, there isn't anything to hang on to as such. The other thing to remember there on the euro is that futures level is hidden. It's not known to the market because I'm using equalized actives. Move across to the pound. It's just been pretty much offered most of the week. We're still getting all this negative stuff on Brexit, but has built a buy signal today, but it's not at support. And as we know, I'm not involved in the pound while all this nonsense is going on. If I go to the futures, again, not surprisingly, it's building the same signal, but also not at support. Did have some action on the yen, talked about that last week. Markets reverse or accelerate around holidays. It was a holiday in Japan on Monday. It made its mind up and broke up, and then yesterday had a reversal signal, but again, that's also not at a level. If I go to the futures, obviously the inverse of that in terms of a signal, but also not at a level. So if you were long dollar yen, you have no permission to still be long, but it's not enough to actually get a short. Had a short position in Aussie as well, and on Tuesday, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, having got minor buy signals there, pops, and also a timing signal, that's the second blue arrow there, we had what's called bad news, good action. So there were some pretty horrible numbers came out in the middle of the night Tuesday, and the market actually went up. So that was enough to decide to get out of the short from that slam dunk signal, that the pale blue square that we had previously, and we've just edged higher since then. It's pretty quiet conditions, but performing very well if you think about what the dollar index has been doing. Similar story for the Kiwi, no position in that. There was a positive signal on Thursday, and all we've done today is come right up to that monthly point and effectively stalled there. So we weren't interested in taking that at all with that monthly level there. Makes a daily close above there on Monday, then would be that would then, for those that need to get long, they would have permission to do so. Go to dollar CAD. Had a minor negative signal on Tuesday, hasn't really developed. Not really a great deal to be said about what's going on there. Because the dollar index and euro have hit such important points, it's worth having a quick look at the short-term picture. What's interesting on the dollar index is a couple of things really. What was support a long way down has actually moved to the top and created a very condensed area. So we're bounded by 96.77 and obviously that 97.19 above. So it doesn't take a lot for the market to break in either direction really. And if we do the euro, it shows really that on spot nearly everything is still above, so it's got a lot of work to do. What was key early on really was the fact that we simply failed at the first resistance that had dropped from here and here, and we popped up there very briefly in the middle of the night, and that's exactly where the high was. It went just one tick above it, so still everything really above there in contrast to the dollar index. If I do the futures, it's a very similar picture. So still what we really need to see if that trade's going to develop is we need some of these big levels that are above to move to the bottom of the trend and form support. So dollar index and euro, the main focuses for next week.